So tell us what made you go, oh my gosh, and then what did you write in this article?
Well, probably the first thing being when I said I'm not an expert in Kinsey, and Judith educating me on who Alfred Kinsey was and the fact that he interviewed pedophiles. This was a man who was not an objective scientist. He was a subjective scientist, and he had an agenda. The media.
Follow the science, right?
The media portrayed him as a happily married man. Gosh, They weren't even truthful back then either. And then it turns out that he's a homosexual sadomasochist pedophile who did research on children. He interviewed pedophiles. And sad to say, you can go to the Kinsey app today, by the way, which is at the Kinsey Institute is still at Indiana University. You can go on the Kinsey app, and if you're raping a child right now, you can send your data to the Kinsey Institute because they're still compiling all that data. Yes, and so
they'll take that data?
Yes, they'll take that data.
Oh,
believe me, there are people that are talking to attorney generals from the U.S. on to state attorney generals that are bringing this.
I did not know that.
He actually went into prisons and he sought out the most sexually deviant criminals and he interviewed them. He interviewed their sex lives. And he said, this is the typical sexual behavior of the American male. For the women, he interviewed prostitutes because remember, to live with a person and you were not married, you could serve prison time. So he would interview prostitutes if they lived with their pimp for more than a year. He said, this is the data on the American married female. So again, when you look closer at his data, you find it's subjective. It's not objective.
And we just looked into this one book that's been used by the left in the abortion industry to claim that there are zero negative health outcomes after an abortion for the mother. And this book explicitly denied any negative health impacts in terms of the relationship between abortion and breast cancer, abortion and preterm labor and subsequent pregnancies, and mental health. This book denies that any of those things have any relationship to abortion. And then you look into abortion increasing your risk of mental health, subsequent preterm birth, and breast cancer, and the left looks at like 5 studies out of 75 or like 3 studies out of 40 that confirm their bias, and then they run with that 3 out of 40 or 5 out of 75 studies, and then they peddle it as the objective, uncontested science. But when you actually look at the wealth of data and information, it's like not only is there a statistical relationship between abortion and these other negative health outcomes, but it's obviously the case. And so it's the same thing. It's such statistical irresponsibility.
Kinsey's data was used for Roe versus Wade. The American Law Institute suggested that abortion needed to be legal based on his science. And Kinsey went so far to say as the more abortions that women had, the better their sex life would be. It would improve their sex life. And he said that many women were having, the abortion rate was sky high back then. But if that were the case, then we would have also seen sexually transmitted disease rates would have been higher during that time. And we did not see that. So again.
Oh, there you go. Interesting.
Yeah.